Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I saw The Magnificent Seven, and even though it's not as good as the original film, it's still an entertaining ride that's surprisingly one of the best summer films that came out this year, and it came out in the fall season. But I bet you're wondering if I saw the original Magnificent Seven before I saw this. Yes, I did. It's the one directed by Sergio Leone, and I do agree it's a Western classic with a perfect cast, perfect action scenes, and definitely a well-done story. So how does this one fare? Well, the story is pretty simplistic as far as Westerns go. An industrialist, played by Peter Sarsgaard, takes over this town called Rose Creek, and the townsfolk have to find an army in order to take down this industrialist. The army includes a bounty hunter played by Denzel Washington, a gambler played by Chris Pratt, a Comanche warrior played by Martin Sinsmeyer, a Mexican outlaw played by Manuel named Vasquez, played by someone else, a tracker played by Vincent D'Onofrio, a sharpshooter played by Ethan Hawke, and finally a Chinese assassin played by named Billy Rocks. The seven individuals have to defend the town and take out the industrialist before he, kills everyone inside the town. So yeah, a pretty basic story, but I think it works out well for this movie. Well, the things that I liked about this movie were really the action scenes throughout. They're fast, they're kinetic, and all the different Magnificent Seven members have their own unique weapons and their own unique fighting styles to bring to the table. For example, the Comanche warrior has his arrows, the Chinese assassin has knives and guns, the Mexican outlaw, Vasquez, has tons of pistol whipping and pistol spinning to go along with his moves, and Chris Pratt's character has tons of cards as a gambler as well as a few gun tricks. Every single Magnificent Seven member acts differently when it comes to their fighting style, and it really feels like a multiplayer video game at times, as you just see the Magnificent Seven members take out dozens of outlaws at once, to the point where it actually becomes kind of hilarious. But what makes the film even more hilarious is the fact that it's actually filled with a lot of great humor. Even though it still has a lot of great drama and action, the humor surprisingly is consistent throughout. As the cast members all have a great chemistry with each other. Mainly Denzel Washington and Chris Pratt get a lot of the great lines, but even Martin Sinsmeyer, who plays the Native American Red Harvest, gets a few good lines in. And the same can be said with other characters like Billy Rocks and Vasquez. And is it just me, or am I glad that we finally have a Native American character in a Western movie who isn't played by a white guy for once? They avoided the whole Johnny Depp thing with the Lone Ranger. Anyways, the cast has great chemistry, there's great action throughout, the comedy is well done. The pacing is a little bit slow at times, but since it's a Western, I get more or less why that is. This isn't a superhero movie or a parody like Blazing Saddles. It very much tries to be a modern day Western, and Anton Fuqua definitely treats it as such. And even though the film's PG-13, there is some brutal freaking violence mixed in with the fun, fast editing and the cool action sequences pulled off by all seven members. Other great cast members in this movie include Haley Bennett, who is, even though she basically consists of the one female member of an otherwise all-male heroes team, she does her job fairly well, and even though she's not in the movie that much, whenever she is in the movie, she pulls off an excellent performance. Now, I only have a couple of problems with this movie, but the biggest problem overall is that the villain of the film is not very threatening. Basically, he's just this industrialist named Bogue, played by Peter Sarsgaard, who wants to take over the town of Rose Creek, and that's about it. Now, I will give kudos to Antoine Fuqua for having his takedown actually being pretty satisfying, which I will not spoil for you. But other than being just a rich industrialist who's evil just because, there's really nothing else to Bogue, and he's too boring to come across as a legit threat. I was thinking hopefully that maybe Bogue would be a second in command to someone else who'd be a more interesting villain, but no, we're just sort of stuck with him. The other problem is that some of the Magnificent Seven members don't really have good motivations for joining. Look, some of them do. For example, Vincent D'Onofrio's character has one that he reveals later in the movie, as well as Vasquez. But some of their motivations for being part of the Seven come across as either nonchalant or not explained very well. If I was going into a mission that would possibly get me killed when I had to face hundreds of men at once, I'd be a little hesitant. But those are really just minor things. Overall, the chemistry between the cast members and the dialogue is handled very well. It's not explained why some of these guys end up joining this cause to help out Rose Creek to begin with. So yeah, other than that, the effects are great. The setting of the Western is very well handled. If you wanted to know my favorite Magnificent Seven member, it'd probably be either Chris Pratt, who's basically a Western Star-Lord, or Vincent D'Onofrio, who is so bizarre in this role that he actually kind of beats out his Kingpin performance in Daredevil. And overall, this film probably feels like the best Antoine Fuqua film since Training Day. Because of that, I give The Magnificent Seven an 8 out of 10. Not truly magnificent, but pretty darn great. See you next time.